let me teach you how to decorate a simple 3-layered cake using my favorite cake flavors, which are red velvet cake, chocolate cake, and cookies and cream cake. This is the first step. For every time you're decorating a cake, it's just like you're building a house. There is always the foundation, and for caking, this is the foundation. You cannot even omit this step, as you all can see. So there will always be that very first cake layer right there that will be built up until the last layer that will make up your cake composition. So today, this is the red velvet cake, being the first one that we're working on. And the reason why I'm always picking up the red velvet against any other one, or rather over every other flavor, is because it has the firmest structure amongst all three. And then because I want a perfect contrast, whilst I have the red velvet flavor, and then I have something cream to give it a sharp contrast before I then add the chocolate cake, which is typically always the softest in the lot. So today I'm going to be working with my chocolate Ferrero Rocher filling cream, also homemade. I'm going to be working with my Oreos cookies filling cream, also homemade. And so I'll be using the Ferrero Rocher chocolate filling cream over the red velvet cake. And then I'll be using the Oreo cookies filling cream over the cookies and cream cake. That makes sense, right? So always get it out. This has a very rich chunk of hazelnuts, some wafers, and a host of other ingredients that make it very rich and expensive to use, this particular filling cream. Okay, but when you come correct, I do you right every single time, so you can see how the composition of this cream has so much crunchy effect. So I wouldn't bother adding any crunchy bit of filling to this particular filling cream. So just like that, I have that, and then very quickly try and create a bridge around it. This is like a double check to make sure that whatever the case is, it will definitely not run out. You can see how firm it is, but then not to take any chances, I will just do that. And then in goes the cookies and cream cake. So for decorating cakes, it is basically the same thing that we get to do in building the layers. The only thing that differs is usually the filling, the fillings variants, and the flavors that we add to it in between the layers. Aside that, you can either choose to work in this pattern or choose to just pipe on every part of the surface, which I don't always do. So to avoid having so much of a cream in between the layers of the cake, that might just get rid of the original taste and flavor of the cake itself. So I always make sure to keep it simple, in as much as I'm going to be slapping on so many, so much fillings to give it that decadent and rich, inside. I'll still keep in mind that the cake is the real deal breaker, and you really want to get it, to have the right impression and the taste bud of your clients. Yeah, so doing this now, I'll just go in with the entire batch of the Oreos cookies filling cream. Already I have prepped the Oreos, the crushed Oreos, that I'm going to also be adding for an extra crunch this time around. Okay, so just goes in a particular order, and then we'll just add this so it will fall anywhere. And then to just make sure that I have everything out, I'll just use my palette knife, my spatula rather, to just scrape this all off. Because I always portion everything and make sure that I use it all up, so they won't be left to this. So again, I just try and get this. This is way softer, but still very stable and firm. It doesn't run around the sides of the cake. It doesn't slip out of the layers of the cake. It's naturally very structured because I brought it back to room temperature, and that's the reason why it is softened. But usually once it returns into the fridge or any cool atmosphere, it's just going to solidify by itself very minimally, just right. So this is all about the cake, really. And basically, the reason why I always press it firmly down is to make sure it is all well binded together properly. And then you remember the one that I always pipe around the edges. I just use that to give it the sealing effect here, and then to get rid of any excess that I might bring out. And then, because bear in mind that I'm still going to be trimming it out, and also will be walking around the sides of the cake. So see this, you all can see how it's not even. They're all the same cake size, but for some reason, because of baking and everything, some of them don't come off the same size after all. So the two in the bottom are more of the same size than the last one. So I'm gonna be making it the same size as the chocolate cake. And then, okay, so in no particular order, I'll just start trimming. Okay, so you all can see from the little I've trimmed how the layers are defined on the part where I trimmed, and see what it looks like without being trimmed. See, that's why I always go through the process of trimming every single cake side. So it's not necessarily because your cake, got burnt or it's not fresh. You all can see how fresh this is, but I wouldn't compromise that to have uneven sides of the cake. So let's just quickly run through the finishing of the trimming. And as always, I will just slap on some cream for the crumb coating, and then I'll just also pop this into the freezer for just a few minutes, say 30 minutes. And then, fun fact is, the taller your cake, the longer the chill time for me, because the taller your cake, the more structure it would need, and the more chill time it will need to ensure that it remains straight and doesn't get sloppy or bend sideways or anything. But this is just a simple 3-layered cake. So ordinarily, if it wasn't because I really wanted to get the 2 coatings on the cake, I could pass off just covering the cake. And another thing for me is, whenever I trim my cake sides, I find it a lot easier to spread the cream and let it glide more smoothly around the sides of the cake, like what I'm doing now. This is what is called the crumb coating stage in cake decorating, because it helps to seal in the crumbs, that pop out from the trimming of the cake, or even sometimes to just seal up the layers of the cake before putting the final coating or applying the final cream on the side, around the sides of the cake. So for this time, I'm just going to finish this and come back to show you all when we're going to finish up the cake. Okay, so I'm done covering the surface now, the top surface, and then I would go on with the sides right now. This is really like a simple design, doesn't require sharp edges, doesn't require any much design, but it's actually simple but very impressive. Also made for guys. Almost done covering the cake now, and pretty much the same thing I've been saying. Final touches, making sure that all the angles are well distributed with the cream before I attempt using a scraper on the cake. This helps it to reduce the amount of times or the frequency of time that I'm going to be running the scraper around the sides of the cake. I mean, in order not to put too much pressure on the cream, so you make sure to allow your palette knife to do most of the work before your scraper then now finishes up for you nicely. Yes, so now I'm getting the sides. I'm working on the sides now. Okay. As always, it's very typical to know that it's almost not possible for you to get the sides, perfectly smooth the very first sweep. So since I know that, I just give it. But the good thing is, this is a white cake. It doesn't require so much drama, so I wouldn't need to go over and over and over with the combing as I did. So this is the final sweep from the look of things. Right. Now I'm going to be texturing around the sides of this cake using black, gray, and white. Round just the middle part of the cake. So this is how it goes. I'm going to be using my palette knife, my offset spatula, this tiny one, and then just basically apply random textures. Nothing too serious, really. You can start from the back so that you can access what you're doing to see if you like it. So this is it. So this is what it is. Nothing serious. So I'm going to be doing this, mixing the colors. So what I'm going to be, I'll start with the black. You can see. It'll come out nicely. I'll be going in with the gray now. I'm putting a bit of white to lighten the contrast like this. All the way to the end as well. So that it wouldn't be too dark. But I mean, it would give me the perfect contrast I want for the cake. Now I'm just trying to add the final touches so that it can have like a defined precision. I'm just going to be highlighting with some splashes of gold using my brush. Not so much, just enough to give it the perfect illusion I want. I'll go to the sides too. And I feel like that kind of transforms the ordinary look to something a bit more extraordinary. What do you all think? So I then go in with the rice paper sales. I made this behind camera. If you like for me to teach you how to make this in my next video, let me know in the comments and I will show you everything I did to achieve this using the same isomalt silk. So we're just going to go in with this one around the side, just like this. Okay, stays like this. This is the front, by the way. Yeah. Then I'll apply another one in an upright pattern, just like this. Then I'll just add a few balls for better effect. Okay, so just the way I did goes on here too. Okay, and another one. Okay, so it's time to fix the topper inside. It's for his 60th birthday, so happy 60th birthday is the message. And that's about it for the cake. I love how very nicely done it is. It has like a rugged feel, perfect for a guy with the best subtle colors that isn't too loud, which is the idea in the first place. So I hope you all like it as much as I do, and I hope you are going to try these techniques out when next you're making a cake for that your client. And always, I remain your favorite baker girl, Famous Desserts Girl. See you in my next. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you already haven't done that. And also like this video. Yes, this one. Like it, share it, and drop your comments. Let me know what you think. Bye-bye.